Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Kaylin, and I just wanted to make a video talking about the things that we don't need for Christmas, like the things that aren't essential for a good Christmas. Excuse the noise in the background, it's just my washing machine which is constantly on in our house, so yeah, hopefully it's not too annoying. So I've made a list of things that I think aren't essential for Christmas time, and they don't improve the quality of our Christmas at all. In fact, they make it more stressful and expensive and fill us with like stress and regret in January. So I think we can do without impressive decor. We don't have to have fancy Christmas decor that's updated every year. You don't have to have like an expensive wreath. You don't have to have a real Christmas tree. You don't have to follow trends of things like buying your child a new Christmas ornament for the tree every year, or like you can choose your traditions and you can choose what you want to decorate your house with. And if you want to do that with stuff you've just found in nature, or you just want to put some fairy lights on a plant you already have, or maybe you don't want the effort of putting up a big tree and you just want a little tree. Like, there are no rules. You can make Christmas whatever you want it to be, so you don't need to listen to anybody else's like expectations of what is required for a good Christmas. We don't need lots of food at Christmas time, because I find that there's a tendency to hoard Christmas food, almost like panic buying it in the lead up to Christmas, but how much of it actually gets used up and how much of it is left sitting in the cupboards after Christmas. I think we always overestimate just how much food we're going to eat over the Christmas season, and there's almost like a mentality like, oh, we're all going to get snowed in, you better stock up. But I don't think that has ever happened in Northern Ireland anyway. I know it happens in some parts of the world, and in those areas it might be kind of justifiable, but I don't think it is here. And it's just like stressful, because then you have to find the storage space for it and reorganize your cupboards. Things get lost and forgotten in the back of them. The freezer is full and you can't fit any more stuff in it. And I just find that the more food we buy, the more stressful we make it for ourselves. And we have this kind of, it's almost like ingrained in us. We have to have this enormous feast with all of the trimmings, but just include the ones that you like and that you find important to you to maintain your tradition. Like, I like having a roast dinner, but we're not going to have a whole turkey. There's only 4 of us, so we're just using like turkey breast. I'm going to get like a ham, but it's not going to be an expensive one, and that will do us for a few days. And like, I just make the things that I know we like. Most years I don't bother with a starter, because I just find that everyone's too full after the main course anyway. This year I have got like a little ring of prawns with a dip, but it's nothing heavy. For desserts, I usually make a trifle because I like it and I like to be able to eat it for a few days after Christmas. My partner and kids don't like it, so I just buy like pre-made little puddings, like chocolate or sticky toffee puddings for them, and that's easy and cheap. You don't have to like make everything the fanciest version that you can. And something that really helped me a few years ago when I was feeling the pressure of preparing for Christmas was that someone said it's basically just a Sunday roast dinner with like some pigs and blankets in it. It can be whatever you like, and you can kind of prioritize including the foods that you actually enjoy. And you don't need to make foods because they're traditional if you don't actually like them or want to eat them. Like, a lot of people don't like sprouts. I actually do like Brussels sprouts, but if you don't, just cut them out. I don't think we need tons of alcohol. I think there's a lot of pressure to stock up on spirits. There's tons of ads on billboards everywhere about it, and in shops and on TV, and just like, even if you're watching a YouTube video or anywhere, you can encounter ads like that that make you feel like you have to create some sort of bar in your home to be able to properly entertain guests, and that just isn't true. Like, if you have one drink option, if someone doesn't want it, they can have water. Like, you don't have to cater to everybody's need. We don't need huge gifts, and I think that it's also the number of gifts that people give nowadays is just crazy, and it gets people into so much debt and creates misery for them in January when we don't need to do that. I think if you have fewer things, you value them more. It's nicer, I think, to have one thoughtful gift from somebody, even if it's handmade or they found it in a charity shop, rather than something generic that they could have got for anyone and it's not really personal to you. We don't need an expensive advent calendar, like they didn't even exist until a few years ago. I don't see anything wrong with the chocolate ones or the little picture ones or just the simple kind of cheap ones, or you can just refill if you have your own with little drawers. We have one of those. As a viewer said before, you can fill it with jokes or Christmas facts and open the drawer and share it with each other each day. You don't need Christmas crackers, obviously. I'm saying that because I kind of made my own this year. I did get a craft kit for that this time, but usually, like, quite often I will just make them with toilet roll tubes and wrapping paper and put little treats inside. Most of it ends up in the bin after Christmas anyway. We don't need festive tableware. You don't have to run out and stock up and make sure everything fits a theme in your house. Like, why do we do that to ourselves and create all this pressure to have the perfect holiday decor? You don't need toiletries that are Christmas themed. You don't need like plates and dishes that are Christmas themed unless you happen to have them already. Then that's fine, get them out and make use of them. But I am not going to be running out to buy Christmas dishes, a Christmas tablecloth, like anything that we don't already have. I'll just work with what we have. Christmas food tastes the same, whatever plate it's on. If you don't want to do the traditional meal as well, you can do any food you like, because I think growing up I kind of thought everybody has to have turkey and ham, but that's not true. If you don't like that, don't eat it. And I've seen videos where people have things like chow mein and they really enjoy that, so that's what they make for Christmas dinner. There aren't any rules. And another thing that I think we don't need this Christmas is tons of guests, because it just adds too much stress to us. And just because you want to see everybody doesn't mean you have to see them all at once. And it might be easier to break things up and go for like a Christmas coffee with one person or call over for a cup of tea with another person a different day. You don't have to invite everyone over at once. It's not your responsibility to provide food and entertainment for the entire extended family. Like, Christmas is supposed to be enjoyable for you and a time to kind of rest and take a step outside your normal routine. So it shouldn't be work. So some of the things that I think that we do need at Christmas time and that can make our Christmas good are things like enjoying nature, getting outside, whatever the weather, and wrapping up warm if it's cold outside, seeing the seasonal changes and appreciating them while they last. I love looking at things like robins and holly, and there's a beautiful holly plant in a National Trust property we go to that has red berries, and then the one beside it has yellow berries, and I love that. Like, it's kind of like a highlight of my Christmas is going to see that. If you want to look at decorations, you can go for a walk and look at other people's decorations that are on display or shop decorations to kind of get some of the Christmas spirit. And I think kind gestures can really help with that feeling too. I don't think we need to buy stuff or add tons of pressure to ourselves to create it. It's something that exists already and you kind of notice it more the more you strip everything back. I think when you're running around like mad trying to achieve everything and do it all at once, you lose the Christmas spirit and you forget what you want it to actually be like. I think thoughtful cards and homemade gifts are perfectly acceptable and people appreciate the effort you've put into them. Even if you don't have Christmas cards, you can make your own with paper. You can just fold them in four to kind of give them more strength. You can write a little thoughtful note to somebody. Like, it doesn't have to be a major gesture. Like, how many of the more expensive gifts are remembered by even the next year? I think it's important at Christmas to remember to nourish your body with foods that you need, as well as eating all the treats and snacks. I think it can be easy to get in the habit of just stuffing yourself with like Christmas cake and chocolate and all the snacks that are so readily available now. But it's also important to remember to fill ourselves with fruit and veg. Some of the more traditional kind of foods actually were probably better for us, like things like oranges, like clementines as snacks, and chestnuts and things like that. I think it's really important to make things like soups and look out for seasonal fruit and veg and make casseroles and warming foods that keep you healthy and like give your body a bit more immunity for the winter season, and you're not just filling yourself with sugar all the time, because that will lead to feelings of depression afterwards as well. I think that you can get festive cheer from free events, from carol services, from if you have kids seeing like anything like nativities, or like my daughter has a carol on the steps event that we're going to go to. Most Christmassy things that I find give me that feeling of like, sorry, my washing machine's singing at me, that give you feelings of like festive cheer, or things you don't have to buy. I find that reading a good book that inspires you and makes you feel Christmassy can really be a nice way to celebrate Christmas. This is a book that I got as a recommendation from Coffee with Kate. Sorry, I always call her that, but it's Kate Sing now. I should change the name of her channel to Kate Sing's Magical Living, I think. But this is a Christmas version of a book that I read and I love it, called Dear Christmas Mothers. The other book that I have is Dear Kitchen Saints. And although in this book there are certain views that I don't agree with, because I find that she's very, very religious and she's kind of set in her ways, and I find it a little bit judgmental at times, and also she's not a feminist in any way. But I just pick and choose the bits that I find inspiring and that I really like. And there are so many tips in this that I think remind you how to have a kind of stripped back, simple Christmas, but it does feel really festive. And some of the ideas in it are unique. Like she said that for scents in her house, instead of scented candles and things like that, she will just boil a pot of water and add spices to it to kind of scent the house with like cinnamon, cloves, star anise, things like that. Or if she wants like Italian kind of flavors, like she'll put in like basil, oregano, like garlic powder. There was another thing where she said for a treat for her kids, because it's a family that didn't have much money, and at times she was a single mother too, and she had 6 kids in the end. And there were times her husband was away and in jail and stuff, but he did come back in the end. But while he was away, like, she kind of had to be inventive with what they had, and she couldn't afford to buy like expensive gifts or Christmas supplies, so she made things like tea for her kids with a candy cane in it to stir it with, and she made like cocoa mixes that she would give to people as gifts. And she said each child would have like a small gift under the tree, but they didn't miss having, like, they didn't ever feel deprived. And I just really like the tips in it, and it kind of just makes you feel Christmassy reading it. Like, she just reminds you of the simplest things to do. And I think a lot of the most Christmassy things you can do are either go out and see the season, like, and be in nature, or be in your home cozy and do like simple crafts that you already have on hand, cooking projects, baking, and just like create your own little traditions for yourself or for your family if you have one. I also find this magazine, as I've mentioned before, it's so inspiring, and you can get it for free on Libby if you have the app through the library, and you can also read their website for free if you don't want to subscribe to it. And it just has so many good ideas for remembering the little things in life that are enjoyable, and finding like ways to celebrate Christmas without kind of having a crazy budget for it. I think that it's important to have warmth and coziness, like blankets, hot water bottles, a candle, like just kind of putting up lights you already have, like doing what you can to make your home warm and cozy. Baking makes it feel that way. I love the smell of fresh bread in the house. Finding like festive movies to watch either on your own while you're wrapping and things like that. I like to do that, or with like your family or friends. You can invite a friend over to watch a Christmas movie and have some like hot chocolate together. I had a friend that did that once and it was really memorable. Also, I think it's important to allow time for silence, like just sit and stare at the tree at night and enjoy the complete silence, because there's so much noise and busyness around Christmas that we can just get overwhelmed, and sometimes you just need to decompress and let your brain have a break from it all. I think it's really important to look after your mental health at Christmas. It's just like a celebration that will happen every single year, and I just think it's kind of gone a bit crazy, and that we've lost like the original kind of meaning behind it. Whether you're a Christian or not, like I think that it's supposed to be about like being kind to others and like acknowledging the important people in your life and spending time together and having a rest and a break from work. I think it's really important to make a point to check in with yourself about how you're feeling. Like sit down and have a cup of tea as if you are having it with a friend, but with yourself, and just check in and ask yourself, like, how am I feeling? What is stressing me out? What would make me feel better? What do I need to do to kind of tend to myself? And schedule in times for things like a bath or a walk on your own. Like those things are more important than any of the things we feel pressured to do at Christmas time. So just don't let it get too busy. Like schedule in time for rest and for yourself before you schedule in anything else. And I think with those things, you can have a good Christmas and you don't get sucked into the madness of it. I hope this video was helpful to someone, and thank you for watching. And yeah, don't forget to subscribe for more content, and I will see you soon. Bye.